Hey, this is Heidi Lynch.
And I'm Perry Voss. And this is Avocado Toast, the series podcast.
Our web series was inspired by our real life experiences,
The great ones
and the heartbreaking ones. And our podcast series is inspired by the community around us, the people we collaborate with, the people who lift us up, the people who listen when things aren't going so well and celebrate when things are.
And in our podcast, we wanted to reach out and chat with other artists and creators to find out what makes them tick, what inspires them,
what drives them,
what brings them joy.
We hope that they inspire you as much as they inspired us.
Enjoy. Today, Heidi chats with Gwenlyn Cumyn, filmmaker, writer, and actor.
Hi, Gwen.
Hi, Heidi. How are you?
I'm good. It's not every day that I get to chat with a showrunner, producer, writer, actor who also happens to be bisexual.
That's me and you.
Yeah, it's a good day. I guess the thing that I have most currently watched you in is Slo Pitch, where you play Anne, the bisexual.
That's right.
You also created the show, wrote the show, produced the show, and acted in the show. And I can tell from experience that that is a lot of work. I guess my biggest question is, it's something that I've been ruminating a lot about lately too. Looking back with some space from when it was released, what is the moment either on screen or from the process that you feel the most proud of?
The most proud of with Slo Pitch. Sorry, you said on screen or off screen?
Yeah, like a part of the process from being a producer or a writer or a creator, or when you watch the show back, a moment in the show that you feel the most proud of.
I think the writing the comedy. Although the first show that Knox and I created together, Barbelle, did have like comedic moments. We had never gone like full hard in with a comedy.
Yeah.
And we also like don't have comedic training or anything like that in a formal sense. So that was an interesting leap, and I'm really proud of us for, I think, pulling it off.
Yeah, it is very funny. Like I was just watching one of the little promo videos, or one of the extra Anne video on KindaTV. Anne's playing Fortnite, and she's getting the texts from both of the people that she's seeing saying that she's lazy. And it is like, it's just pure comedy. Also, like Anne and Joanne together are just so funny. So good. I love it.
Thank you.
I'm curious, just as a filmmaker or artist, do you feel like you learn things from your characters or other characters in the show?
That's a good question. Like, yes, would be the nice answer. But also sometimes I feel like getting into writing more has made me learn, like writing out characters.
Yeah.
Almost makes me think, like, learn more than acting them.
Yeah.
Also because when you're writing a show, you're writing multiple characters and thinking about multiple different arcs, and instead of just focusing on your own character.
Yeah.
Not to say that all actors only focus on their own characters, but it is the
Oh, totally. It's completely different too. And that also, I'm curious for you. You have experience just being an actor. Like in All for One, you are just an actor, right? I don't mean to say just, but it's just, you acted in that. You didn't write it. You didn't create it.
That's right.
What is the difference for you when you're acting in something that you created versus just acting?
It's definitely harder acting in something that I've created than just being an actor on someone else's set. That is so, most of the time, lovely. And honestly, sometimes feels like a vacation.
Yeah.
And I would love to do more of it. And I don't know what it was like for you, but yeah, it can be quite a distracting process trying to act in something that you're producing. The having written on a show is actually just bonus background work, really.
Yeah.
But it's the producing that's really the distracting part for me.
Yeah. Hell yeah, me too. Yeah,
yeah.
Because it's a brain you can't turn off, and as much as you want to pause and be in the moment while you're acting, your brain's functioning on so many levels. It's not that you can't do that, but in some ways It's interesting because I do find it harder to be in the moment and focus when I'm working on something that I've created and I'm producing. But in some ways, it is easier because I know what the scene is so intimately. I know what's going on. I don't have that background noise that I have sometimes when I'm acting in something I haven't written. And I'm wondering, like, is this right? Am I getting it right? Is this what the character is going through? Does the director think that I'm doing a good job? Like, those voices become a lot quieter. And I'm also just like, I'm sure you felt the same way with Jay because they're wonderful. But with Sam, I just trusted her infinitely. You know, like I knew that she got it. I knew that she also, it must have been cool working with Jay as a director because they also helped create the show, right? The three of you did?
Yeah. It was Jay's like initial idea, and then also Jay was shooting
Right.
the thing, and so that was
Wow.
nice to just kind of have that shortcut in.
Yeah.
Of like, it's one less person you have to explain a vision to.
Yeah.
For them and for us.
Totally. Okay, these questions are a little bit more just about the industry in general.
Okay.
In this industry, we are definitely recognized for our successes. But I find I learn infinitely more from my failures. Or the failures of other people that you witness and learn from. I guess
Yeah.
my question is, what is your biggest failure that you have learned from?
Like, I guess I have a few different failures. I remember like having my first big audition for like a series regular part in a TV show, and I definitely had a lot of imposter syndrome about it. I was pretty young, like fresh out of theater school, and the first audition that I went to for the part, I mean, I was really nervous, but I ended up doing really well. And I think because I just had this kind of attitude of, ugh, I'm not even supposed to be here anyway, so let's just have a good time.
Yeah.
And then when I got a call back for it, I was like, oh shit.
Got real.
Oh, this could be a thing. Oh no. And that's when I kind of self-destructed.
Yeah.
And the callback did not go well.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, annoying. But I feel like that definitely taught me to just like in an audition atmosphere to just give them a show.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes imposter syndrome isn't the worst kind of thing if it makes you feel like,
Yeah.
let's just have a good time.
That's the hardest thing to bottle, is that like screw it energy. And the funniest thing too is that I find as I get older, I'm able to do it more. And I imagine as I become older, that will become easier. I find with women especially, as we age, we stop giving as much of a care as what other people think. And then the funny thing is, it seems stereotypically like while women get older, then their acting parts disappear. So it's like...
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping that changes though. I feel like it's in the air.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, like trying to write roles for Mag and Brenda for Avocado Toast was honestly the most fun thing. And like Mag is genuinely in real life one of my favorite people ever. But she's also one of my favorite actors, and she is so playful and funny. And yeah, I just want her to be playing incredible roles that she can bite into, because she's so yeah, anyone of any age would love to watch her do it. So I think things are changing too. I definitely do. I do.
Yeah.
So the whole thing about like the it factor for actors.
Yeah.
So now that you also have been for a bit, sitting in the show running camp, doing auditions, running auditions, casting, choosing people, from that side of the table, do you see when someone has it, and what do you think it is?
Interesting question. Like, yes.
Yeah.
I have seen it. It is just, I think it's an entertaining performer quality. It doesn't make you a good actor necessarily. And there are a lot of great actors who might not have it, but like are really good in specific roles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I would say that it is. I think it makes me think a lot about like some of the people who were kicked out of my theater school, who are some of the most entertaining people and smart and creative people that I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. And it felt at the time certainly unfair that just because these people maybe didn't have the range of Stratford theatre actor,
Yeah.
that they were denied that training. But on the other hand, a lot of them have gone on to have great success, because if you have that it factor, people are going to notice.
Totally.
So what if you're doing the same thing in every different part? It's still, it can be magical to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it is not everything. That's what we've got.
Yeah, it is not everything. I guess that answer may have been more about versatility.
No, it was good.
Versus it factor. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to reframe it. Definitely.
And if you have both, you're Meryl frickin' Streep, I guess. So
yes. Especially I find, especially in the queer space when creating queer content, so much of the queer audience does hang out online. So when you're making queer digital content, you get a lot of like immediate feedback about whether you've gotten something right or you've gotten something wrong, for their experience. And which is tricky because everyone's experience of their sexuality is so different. My bisexuality is different than your bisexuality is different from someone else's. When you're creating or acting, how much does the audience come into the equation for you? Like, do you think about what the audience wants? And do you think that's a filmmaker's responsibility? Or do you think that can get in the way of the artistic process?
Yes. I mean, I've never had to work on a show that had such an intense following that they would get really mad at you if you betrayed one of their characters or something like that. I think it's important. I think producers and filmmakers do have a responsibility to their audiences, and you especially want to be careful with queer audiences who deserve so much that they haven't been getting. We haven't been getting.
Yeah.
So yes, I do think about what good representation means and what unique representation means. But on the other hand, sometimes an audience doesn't know best.
Yeah.
And if you had your way, I think as an audience member, sometimes there'd be no conflict whatsoever. And your characters would never go through hard things.
Yeah.
But it's the conflicts that make a story. So
yeah, totally. I definitely let the audience influence my writing in Avocado Toast, because when we released that first trailer, I was at a point in my coming out experience where I didn't really know what I was coming out as. And if I'm super honest, I think my gut and heart actually would love to live in a world where labels weren't as important, but I understand why they are for many reasons. And, I would probably put myself more in the St. Vincent Annie Clark camp of being fluid. But through the show, I think because I was trying to create bisexual content, it was really important. Like, I got so much feedback from that first very low budget trailer we shot where Molly never said the word bisexual. The word was never said. And how important that seemed to an online bisexual audience. So I sort of just did it to make the audience happy. And then through the process realized like how important it is. And I think the word does need to be said to destigmatize it and to like make it really clear. And I'm still trying to figure out why. But I do know that like when I hear other people say that they're bisexual, it does make me feel good. It does make me feel like that's a clear thing I can point to. And that's a group that I'm a part of. So yeah, that was a super interesting process.
How do you think like that will affect your writing going forward? Be it future seasons of Avocado Toast or otherwise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for Avocado Toast specifically, the first season was so much for Molly about that that I'm really excited to delve into season 2 where that's established and she's comfortable in that. And so we can go beyond that. I know the show is about a lot more than just Molly being bisexual, but, you know, I think for representation across the board for many groups, it would be great to get to a point where it can just be a story, and the fact that the characters, and there are many examples of this was just Avocado Toast, but where the fact their sexuality is not the biggest part of their journey. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to keep pondering that. Obviously it will affect me forever. Okay. So I did a fun thing where I tried to go through my memory all the way back to being a kid and tried to remember all the bisexual characters that I had seen or gravitated towards. And this funny thing happened where like I was Googling bisexual characters and then was like, they were bi? And like I had watched the show, I remember the character, but like one really, did you ever watch the show Roseanne?
Yes. Hang on while I Google whatever character you're about to tell me about. Roseanne.
Do you remember Nancy? She was like her friend. She's played by Sandra Bernhard. She was like with this really annoying friend.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
I had no idea that the character was bi. I couldn't because I just remember she was dating a woman and like a lot of disparaging things were said about her dating a woman. But I'm sure at the time that it came out, just having a same-sex couple on TV was a big deal. That was a weird one. And then like, I don't know why I didn't remember that Xena Warrior Princess was queer.
Oh, was she actually, or was it just?
I don't know.
Hinted.
I guess it was just hinted. It was just hinted.
Definitely an icon though.
Oh yeah. And then like Frida, Salma Hayek's movie Frida, obviously. But Frida that's the thing. Like, yes, she's iconic to me because she's bisexual, but also was more because of so many other reasons, like badass woman and this badass artist and her raging unibrow. Embracing body hair was like, what? Women can do that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What are some characters that you have that when you've watched been like, oh, I connect with that version of bisexuality?
These aren't characters so much as real people, but
it's beautiful.
The latest season of Are You the One on MTV?
Yeah.
It's this, I don't know if you've heard about it or seen it.
I've heard of it, but I've just been researching dating shows because we're gonna do one, but I haven't actually watched it yet. Yeah.
Oh,
stoked.
That's fun. Yes, watching that show, even though all the characters in it are much younger than me, and you know, are doing things that I probably wouldn't do. Watching that show, yeah, definitely made me feel like, just a group of bi and pan people loving each other and talking things out.
Yeah.
I feel seen. Yes.
That's so cool. That's beautiful. I really, it's interesting too, because I'm obsessed with Transparent. Like it's definitely my favorite show for a long time. And I love Sarah Pfefferman so much, but I also am just like dying for other kinds of bisexual representation where, you know, it doesn't get to the point where someone has to like cheat on their husband or wife with the other gender. The character's bisexual. And I just really loved the choice with Anne for her to be bisexual and she was polyamorous.
Yeah. I mean, she's dating multiple people.
Yeah, but everyone knows. Like everyone knows, and it's, you know, consensual on everyone's part. Yeah, it just gets tricky because like I also like definitely would love to see more representation of like bisexual monogamous people, and that's the whole story, and that
That's it.
exists.
Yeah, there's so many different tropes, I think, about bisexual people that it's really difficult to avoid them all.
Mhm.
And the problem is that sometimes I identify with some of those tropes,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's unfair that those tropes are stigmatized.
Yeah.
Although I understand that it's frustrating to see like bisexuals overrepresented in one fashion.
Right.
Yeah. So yes, I didn't actually think about before getting down to writing Anne how tricky that process would be, and like just thinking about like what kind of representation I wanted to see. It was actually a lot more complicated than I thought it would be, and that's hard. There's a newsletter that I just started subscribing to called the Bi-Monthly, written by Jen Winston, and she's had some really interesting things to say about bisexual representation.
Nice.
And
check that
how yeah, do it, everyone should.
I honestly that I just loved that little scene where you and your two lovers were locked in the back of the car with Joanne. Like I was like, it was so cool because it was something that I hadn't seen before, and it was like very sex positive, and I think they even say like, I'm not trying to be biphobic and polyphobic and stuff, but it was like Anne was just gave no F's. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this or not. Gave no F's and was just sitting there like, yes, he knows, and yes, she knows, and then her being like, when it takes so long for the guy to come in, she's like, would you like to talk more about being bisexual? And Anne just like rolls her eyes and that's it. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, I really love the last line in there. But that's the thing, like sometimes you can just get off on a tangent, ranting about this and that in terms of representation and getting up on your soapbox, and then just to be undercut by like, okay, did you want to talk more about that? And you're like, oh
no,
not now.
Oh man. Well, yeah, I think that wraps up our sweet little interview today. Thank you so much for your time and for creating amazing bi characters and all other characters and women in general and everyone.
Ditto, you
and
too.
for the content. Thank you. Thank you so much, Gwen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening.
And thank you to Ontario Creates for the support to make Avocado Toast the Series podcast possible. You can pick your player to watch all 10 episodes of Avocado Toast the Series at www.avocadotoasttheseries.com.
We'd also love to give a huge shout out to Russell Lauder for the use of their beautiful song, Cost of Living. You can find more of their music sprinkled throughout the episodes of our web series, as well as on Spotify, Bandcamp, and iTunes. And links to their social media is in our show notes.